Well, I was born in Baghdad because my father used to work for King Faisal at the Palace House. At the time, we were considered to be Muslims. And then when we were identified by wrong conversation, my uncle had called for my father by his real name. One of the officers identified us as being Christians. Then we were given 48 hours to leave the country. At that time, on the border between Amman, Jordan, and Iraq border, my birth certificate was taken away from me. I was only 2 years old. Then I'm left with absolutely no birth certificate until we arrived into Ramallah, where my parents are originally from. Then they had to find a midwife to go and testify in Jerusalem, I guess municipality or a local government office, that she forgot to register me as being born in Jerusalem. And that's how I got my birth certificate, as being born in Jerusalem. But otherwise, I'm a native born of Baghdad. Of course, we lived in Ramallah until I was at the age of 15, migrated to the US in 1970. Went to school, Ramallah Preparatory, and secondary school until the age of 8. After completing the grade 8, that was around 1970, we migrated to the US in July of 1970. My father came to this country in 1969, never went back. He died right in Silver Spring area, and I have been in Silver Spring for the last 51 years. Okay. We were just an average Ramallah family, basically living day to day, week to week, lived in the center of Harat Dere. I am from Dar Yusuf clan, and we basically, we had one room, one kitchen that took care of all 6 of us, including my parents. Coming here on July 17th, 1970, it was Sunday afternoon. Monday morning, 5:30 in the morning, I was a dishwasher. Working with my uncle in Rockville, Maryland. The language was the big barrier for me. Of course, in Ramallah, when you go to government schools, English is not a priority. You start taking it grade 4 and up. But still, we were behind on the language, but my understanding was somewhat good. My response was a bit weak, but my understanding was not bad. Going through 9th grade in the area where I lived in Rockville, I was the only foreign student in class. And Montgomery County, state of Maryland, have designated teachers for me to teach me in every single subject for 6 months. I was in a special room every day. Teachers were walking in and out, whether it's a history teacher or simply an English teacher or algebra. And they really spent a very good time on my education. I've excelled, I've made it very well. After grade 11, when the school have looked at my grades that I brought from Ramallah and the education I've received from Ramallah, they said, you know, you exceeded the education, but the language was the barrier. But now you can go part-time. And I start going to local Montgomery College, one course, and I start going to college from age 11, 12, and that's how I finished my schooling before I finished the high school. Well, in 67, during the war, I was roughly 12 years old. I recall my father had a few drinks, and he was an ex-soldier of the Second World War. He took me, took my sister, my younger brother, and my sister. He says, grab a white flag, rest assured, nobody will shoot at you. So we left the house where we lived. We went to Al Manara, all the way to the, right now is the Palestinian headquarters in the center of Ramallah. We were approached by soldiers of different language, but yet they were Israeli soldiers. At that time, my father spoke 6 languages, and he understood Italian, French, Spanish, Hebrew, Yiddish, and they thought this man doesn't know what the hell is going on. So whoever started the conversation with him, he'll tell him, hey, I am a soldier, I'm a British soldier, I fought in World War II, and in his own language, and they were surprised to hear someone who's speaking, you know, their own language, but then they said, you got to make sure you go home, don't stay in this area. Rukab home and the Hamra Hotel was at the same route. That was our final destination. Came back. Before we came to the home, which was the Grand Hotel, the back of the Grand Hotel, there was a general of the Israeli occupiers was hollering at his soldiers to shoot at us. So my father jumped to conclusion. He says, hey, you guys got to jump the street no matter where to hide from the shooting that's going to take place. And we start jumping everywhere as kids. And my father did the same thing as we did after we all jumped to make sure we are secured. The soldiers who were standing, he was basically telling my father, hey, I am getting orders to shoot at you. Just leave, go down, quick. And that's the final of it. A couple days later, we had a plum tree in my land. There were 6 soldiers who came in, again with various languages, but yet they were all Israeli soldiers. My father welcomed them, brought them chairs to sit right in front of the house, made them coffees. Those guys will not drink the coffee. He says, listen, I am a soldier like you. I know your routine. I will start drinking from these cups, take a sip as I go along so that you will be released. So I'm not going to poison you from my coffee. After the second cup of coffee, they said, stop, we trust you. We had a cross on you. We know you're Christians. Then he took them down to the plum tree. He says, anytime you're in a neighborhood, come down, eat, do whatever you want. They became friends in the area. We had no issues, and we basically just lived side by side with him. I finished my high school in 1974. Immediately I enrolled in Montgomery College to continue my education. I finished 2 years of Montgomery College, but then I wanted to move to University of Maryland. My parents became ill, and I had to start working another full-time job to help out. 1977, that's where I made the move to go back to Ramallah and find my bride there. And I married in Ramallah and came back, and I've been living since then with my wife for the last 44 years.
Children? You have children?
I have 4 children. The oldest daughter is married to a Ramallah boy from Tawasha family, from my mother's side and my wife's side. My second daughter, my oldest son is not married. He was married, but he is an engineer for Cisco Corporation in San Francisco. My third daughter is married to a Mferreh family. She is a budget director for FEMA. And my youngest son runs the company that I own in the heating and air conditioning business in the whole metro area, Maryland, DC, and Virginia. Back to 1977, when I arrived on Sunday evening around 7 o'clock. Of course, I was welcomed by my uncle and relatives. Of course, the area was still the same, and changes were taking place. Buildings were being built. The neighborhoods, everything is all changed. You feel like you're a foreigner in your own hometown. Throughout the years, from 77, and as I went several times, the more you go there, the more you feel you are simply isolated, and the city is getting big, and you kind of wonder, where was this before and how can I go around it? And sometimes you feel you are lost, especially Ain Musbah, where the mountain has Jabal Ain Musbah, it's all built, you find it. Go into the valley of Ramallah where it used to be no highway, you got highways that extend from Ain Musbah all the way to At-Tire. Things have changed dramatically in the city, and you're a foreigner in your own homeland. Considering the number of Ramallites have shrank to the point of only you can count them on your fingers, you're just simply a foreigner in your own homeland. It makes me sad that I'm being forced at one time in 2005, walking past the churches on the main road, Latin and Protestant. I stopped by 9 o'clock for a falafel sandwich, and it was Ramadan time, and I bought the sandwich, and the first bite I want to take, where I was forced, basically, you cannot eat, get the hell out. They want to throw me in the back of the place. You cannot eat in Ramadan, and I told them how I feel. Even there was elders standing there, not one single one of them have opened his mouth to tell the guy who's making the falafel, hey, you know, shut up, that's his own way, he's Christian, you cannot bind him. Yet, and I told him bluntly, I said, Bush is not enough for you, you need more than Bush to teach you another lesson. I walked down the same road by Cinema Dunya, and all of a sudden I've been confronted with 4 other guys, yet my arm was held because of my operation, and the reason I went there, I wasn't able to work. I said, I figure, you know, I can visit Ramallah. Since I'm not being able to do anything, I'll just waste my time there. Happened to be lucky that my cousin coincidentally stopped his car, and they looked at him, my cousin who works for the security of at that time for Arafat. He had a gun on him because he was, you know, illegal for him to hold a weapon. And they were about ready to beat me up. First thing, he pointed the gun at them, they ran away. So this was the biggest negative experience, where you're forcing people, yet we fast 50 days and we don't force them to fast along with us, but yet they want you to fast with them, and things are still going downhill. That even though I still love to live there, but my biggest concern, I'm a guy who have a big mouth. I'm afraid if I'm walking in the street, I need a machine gun for these bastards. Simple as that. The nature of Ramallah have changed. I call it Little New York now. There is no greens, there is no landscaping, there is no original structure to Ramallah. Or you're looking at buildings after buildings, and whoever is going to make it rise to the top. Ramallah is not what it is. It will never go back, and people are just not the same as you think they were. Whether it's a close relatives or a distant guy, it is not Ramallah what it used to be. Of course, that changes in everywhere, but Ramallah have changed dramatically from what it used to be.